What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Podcast. For realsies, yeah, it's totally Wednesday. We did this, okay, technically, it is Wednesday. We're recording it on a Wednesday. The reason for that is because of the Switch reveal, so we pushed it a day back. So sorry, folks, that we're not aware, but we pushed this a day back to make sure we got the Switch 2 reveal. But anyways, my name is Adam, a.k.a. CS Radical, joined as always, Jin and Chris. Kaylan, feeling sick, not able to make it this week, but we miss him nonetheless. Although I'm sure dad things are probably making him be like, yeah, I'm something about the Switch, and he falls asleep. So, you know, it is what it is. Chris, aside from me making you laugh right at the top of the show, because that's always my goal, how you doing?
That is the goal. Fantastic. I just love that Kaylan, now that he's a dad, he just grumbles and falls asleep. It's like the most dad description.
Right?
Like, he's probably awake doing very normal things, but it's like,
well,
no,
he's
just like,
he's sick, so it's probably more like grumble.
Oh, he is
sick,
so,
and then falls asleep.
But it's like he's a dad now, so he just grumbles about the thermostat until he passes out. Like,
I'm just imagining now Kaylan just sitting with a newspaper, just being like, Yankees.
Yes, he started buying newspapers again. He figured out to actually where to go to find them because,
although to be fair,
store,
look,
I don't know.
If we want to be Canadian and all, no wonder he's grumbling. He's either picking up the Sun or the Star. So
that's true. That is true. Our newspaper.
Toronto jokes.
Sucks. Toronto jokes, yay! I have been good. I have been playing multiple things. I have been playing a bit more Avowed. Don't have anything new to say about that. It's good. I've been playing The Last of Us Part 2 because I want to beat it before the second season airs because I don't want spoilers from the show.
Oh, you've never beaten the second one?
No, I never even came close to it. I only beat the first one when they put the remastered newest version out. I hadn't.
For some reason, I just assumed that both you and Kaylan had already finished them both by now.
No. I knew the entire story because if you asked me back in 2019, like, hey Chris, do you want to be spoiled on The Last of Us? I'm pretty sure you told me the whole story of it because I was like, I'm never actually going to play that fucking game. And then later on, Last of Us Part 2 came out. I'm like, I'm not going to play Last of Us Part 1. So yeah, people just spoil Part 2 to me. And then it's like now I'm playing that. I'm like, all right, I already knew the big parts going in, but I'm still really enjoying it.
My knowledge of that game is weird because I know the first hour of it, and then there's a long gap before I get to about Joel in Last of Us Part 2, and then I remember all of that because I read it.
Yeah.
Because I was never going to play it, but I'm like, all right, why is everyone so mad about it? And I read it and be like, I don't care that much, but even on the outside, that looks kind of dumb.
Yeah, I can see why people were upset, like, writing decisions. Taking that out, though, the game, I mean, it plays exactly like The Last of Us. It has the same tension. It has the same, like, cinematic moments where all of a sudden you're in a subway trying to escape other survivors. There's only red lights in there, and all of a sudden you notice there's a bunch of clickers, but also the other survivors that are trying to kill you are rushing in. And all of a sudden the clickers and the survivors are fighting, and you're just trying to escape and figure out your own shit. Same tension, same I have to play it during the day and only a few chapters at a time because my heart gets to, like, beating too fast, and I'm like, I can't actually play this for 6 hours at a time. I can't handle it, which is why I'm playing multiple games right now.
The ultimate test would be to have both of us play either like a really scary game or a really tense game and strap heart rate monitors to us and see which of us actually has the higher rate by that.
I should. I wear my Apple Watch, and it's not as accurate as like a really proper one, but I could actually probably see if it gets heightened and stuff. I should check one day. But besides playing those, the other game I've been playing is Assassin's Creed Shadows. So I go like a bit of Last of Us, then I'll hop into a bit of Avowed, and then I go and Assassin's Creed Shadows is the one I've been playing the longest and the most. It is.
Can we actually hold that one until I do mine? So that way, because I want to do a whole section of that, because obviously I made my 100%. Rant about it last week. I'd like to continue there. So let me quickly get mine out of the way, and then we'll do that. So I finished one game. I've been trying for a while to get really into, because obviously when I said a few weeks ago I was playing The Root Trees Are Dead, which is sort of a mystery, like detective game where you're trying to retrace a family tree. And I've been trying to get more into detective games. The problem is a lot of them haven't clicked. And a large portion of it is obviously most of these are indie games. They don't have voice acting. I'm very much I need the audio cues as well to really help with it. Reading doesn't always necessarily work with me. So I tried a few other ones. They didn't really click. It also didn't help that, like, the mechanics weren't great. I finally found one that clicked, and it's The Darkest Files. And there's 3 reasons for it. One, the art style is fucking phenomenal. I love the art style of this game.
That is very cool.
So it's very like film noir on a comic book sort of look.
Yeah.
It looks very sleek. Voice acting is number 2. Actually, well, I shouldn't say voice acting. No, voice acting just kind of keeps me into it. Number 2 is actually the gameplay mechanics. How the root trees are dead made me feel smart by like, as soon as you unlock one thing, you start to really roll down the trail. This game has a similar vibe, not in the way of, you know, how you get to that point, but how it makes you feel like you've actually are piecing stuff together. So the way the game works is it'll drop you a case file, and it'll give you a bunch of stuff, and you'll have the ability to bookmark pages. You can highlight certain lines so that when you actually piece the case together, like, you know how when you play a Phoenix Wright game, it'll ask you to show a piece of evidence. So it'll give you like your inventory screen. This case, it'll say, hey, you want to prove you want to prove that this person was the one that pulled the trigger? You need to give us 3 pieces of proof from your notes that say that. And you have not just have to put the piece of paper, you have to narrow down the paragraph that actually proves it. And obviously, if you're marking stuff down, like there is points where, because in the first mission is the third part of why I like it. So I'll put these both together. The first mission, because this takes place in about 1950s Germany. The first case is taking trial of a few Nazis for killing a 77-year-old. I'm assuming they were a Jew, but a 77-year-old man, just because his son at the tail end of the war tore a Nazi flag down, and back then you still could have been put to death for treason for that. But they couldn't find the kid, so they took the dad away, and instead of, you know, obviously returning him home, they just shot him dead in prison like that same day. And it's apparently based off of a real case. They just switched the names around. So it's a real thing that happened, which also really adds to the vibe. But the way that it works is like, so say I want to say like this person pulled the trigger. So I have to find, okay, in this case file, I have corroborating witness testimonies from 2 people that say they were there. So there's enough here to place them there. The second one is, okay, well, the autopsy report says he was killed by this caliber of a bullet. He's the only guy, according to this registry, that says he was issued a gun with that caliber of bullet. And then it'll be another one that shows like, it's not like, I can't think of what the last one thinks, but it's stuff like that where it's, you have to pull the data specifically from the reports you have, whether it's case files, testimonies, like listings, stuff like that. So it really makes you feel like you actually are piecing it together, rather than like, say, with a Phoenix Wright game where it's just pick an item and hope to God you pick the right thing. This time it's, not only do you need to pick the right thing, you need to have 3 sources showing the right thing. So you better know what you're looking at. And it also has moments where it has flashbacks where you in first person will go around the scene. You can highlight items and ask questions about it. You'll be able to pull more information that way out of it. And in some cases, like the first case that I'm talking about, this one with the Nazis, I missed one piece of crucial detail that would have finished the case completely. So I finished the case with a 97% acceptance rate. But there's one piece of information that I did not grab because I didn't highlight a certain item to ask that question, I guess, that I didn't find. So it's stuff like that where you'll likely be able to finish the case in some way. I didn't try going back and playing that case and actually intentionally getting it wrong, so I don't know what happens in that case. I know I got it right, but what it was really cool, like, you pretty much go into the case going, oh, I know this motherfucker did it. And then you slowly piece together, it's like, oh, it's not even remotely close to what I thought happened. And I love that it does that. And the things of, like, from a historical standpoint too, like, if you're watching this on YouTube, you're seeing it has photos. It shows even like things of like how the Nazi uniforms were ranked. So you actually, there is a point where someone says, oh, I wasn't there. And you can say, hey, we had a witness corroborate that they saw a guy with a uniform with 2 golden stripes on there. You are that person in that troop. That had to have been you. There's no way they wouldn't have just seen 2 golden stripes for no reason. So, like, it's stuff like that that really click with me. And it's only 3 cases, so it's relatively quick to get through. Each case can be like 2 to 3 hours each, depending on how much time you really spend deliberating over it. But, like, the visuals are great. Voice acting is hit or miss. Like, some of the witnesses are the most unenthusiastic ones, but it's an indie game. I don't expect them to be that involved. But, like, the actual mechanics of this detective game are some of the best I've seen in quite some time, and I would love to see more from this developer doing this again. Whether it's, and maybe in this time it's like set in like LA Noir or Chicago during the Capone era, like doing different historical times. I would love to see that, because that's what clicked with me in this one, is starting right away, like 10 years after World War II in Germany. It's like, ooh, okay, that's an interesting spot to start. I would love to see them do that, whether it's present day, past, I don't care. Like, I think they have a really good style here. And if they can keep doing what they're doing, like, this would be a really interesting series to keep going with. I was genuinely surprised by how much I like this game. I give it a solid 9. The only thing that's holding it back to me is just, obviously being an indie game, it's still a little rough around the edges. There's still a few, whether it's the voice acting, some of the movement around, like selecting certain things can be a little off. Like there's little things here and there that I can nitpick, but like I thoroughly enjoy this. And if anybody likes detective games, I think this is like the one so far this year that's come out, because there's a lot of them. People in the same thing of like roguelike deck builders. I've seen a lot of detective games in the last couple of months. This one scratched that itch very well.
What's this called again? Sorry?
The Darkest Files.
The Darkest Files. As per usual, I have been sold on the game that you're talking about, and I'm just adding it to my wish list.
Yeah. This was a game that like
podcast.
I literally had to pull out Google Docs because I'm like, I'm taking fucking notes.
Yeah. I mean, that to me, though, that's the mark of a good detective game, like where you actually need to take notes. Because there's like lots of, like Steam even now, in the overlay of games, there's a notepad feature. And I always thought, like, what is the point of this? And it wasn't until I started playing games like this, where it's like, oh crap, I need to take notes. And how convenient it is that the Steam overlay just has a notepad that actually saves. So when I come back to the game later, it's saved there. If I play it on my Steam Deck, my notes are still there. It's definitely the mark of a good detective game if you actually have to do detective work and take notes. I love that.
Yeah, like I have on that Google Doc, I had 4 pages worth of notes, whether it was taking all the testimonies, I screenshotted a lot of pictures, so that way I had easy access to it all there. I thoroughly love this game. Like, I was so surprised how much I liked it. I mean, I was like, okay, when I saw the art, I'm like, okay, good start. And then as soon as they started putting in the mechanics, I'm like, all right, I can vibe with this. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love this art style. It's like a serious Archer. It's like a film noir Archer show.
That's not a bad way to explain it, yeah.
Have you ever played The Dark Side Detective? I feel like you'd play it like that one. It is a very pixel art style one.
So let me Steam that for a sec here.
It's called The Dark Side Detective. There's 2 games now. I just think it's one that you would love because it is a detective game, but like more
I've
pixel
seen these.
graphics.
Actually, I think one of a YouTuber I watched actually did a video on these. I might be mixing it up, but yeah, I definitely have seen this before.
They're very good and they're funny. It's like a detective, like ghost story and all that kind of stuff, but also the 2 main characters are friggin' hilarious together. So it's like
it's no duck detective though.
No, Duck Detective, yeah. The Duck Detective. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
All right, well, I got my bit out of the way, so let's talk about Shadows. So,
Shadows. I did watch the episode last week. Yeah, I was going to say, I did.
Here, so for those who missed it, I was very critical of what I played of it after about 4 to 5 hours. And I'm happy to say I haven't played the game since. It's not for lack of trying. Yeah, after the show, I have tried 3 separate times to play it again. And every time I land in the world, I play it for about 15 minutes and go, no. And it's for the same reasons I outlined last time. The world is boring, and the story, I've seen people say that once you start getting into Yasuke, it starts to pick up a little bit. But like, I don't know, Chris, did you see Yahtzee's review in Fully Ramblematic for it?
No, I haven't seen any reviews yet.
I'll link it to you I'll link it to you in the Discord after the show. But like, what he says in that is essentially everything that I agree with on that, and the fact that it's the same thing again. Yeah, they put a fresh coat of paint onto it, but like, it's a game that it sure would be cool if you could be really, really good and actually do ninja things in an Assassin's Creed game. But it'd be really fucking nice to do that if not every single character in this game is so fucking boring. Like, I really wanted to like Naue. I really did. And I've seen the English version. Thank God I chose Japanese because the English voice actor for her is... I don't like it at all. The Japanese was decent, but like... I don't get it. The one thing that Yahtzee said that made me laugh is, isn't it great on how, like, I get sorry spoiling the game for the first hour. Oh no. Naue, the whole reason she's basically an assassin is because her dad gets murdered, who was probably in the order. I haven't gotten far to see if that's the case, but I assume. And he gets killed by not one, but like 11 masked people. And Yahtzee's immediate comment was like, how fucking important was this guy to get 11 of these people off their busy schedules terrorizing the entirety of Japan to all show up just to watch this motherfucker die? And I'm just like, you know what? That makes no sense. Why the fuck were they all there?
Because it's Templars versus Assassins, and that's how they do it, okay?
It couldn't have been like 2 of them? Maybe
it started as 2, but yeah, all the others were already on the way.
Yeah, it was just really funny. But his video as a whole was just every point that I had to make. Because, like, look, I know, like, you're probably going to say a lot of things that you like about it. And I'm sure, like, I don't know if Kaylan's played it or not, but, like, I'm sure that he'll say things like, because he does obviously enjoy those games. Obviously, you both like Star Wars Outlaws. So you guys aren't against the Ubisoft formula. Me... So to just continue with it, I still see the same things. I said in last week's episode that the only things I'm seeing positively online are generally either look how many copies it sold or God, isn't it beautiful? And I go, that's great if you're playing a 2-hour walking simulator. I don't care about a 60-hour open world game. That's Horizon Forbidden West. We only talked about how beautiful that game is. You notice how much we don't talk about the story of that game, or how like Aloy's an interesting character in that game, or how anybody's an interesting character in that game?
It is, yeah. I completely agree when it comes to story with the open world games, because they put all the effort into the world and these huge gaps between story moments and stuff, right? Because they have to give you an excuse to go out there and explore and just randomly do all the side quest stuff, without the story feeling like you have 10 minutes to get to this spot. You have to be there right now.
That's involved with climbing the same 6 copy and pasted buildings to the very top so you can watch the stupid 360-degree camera thing that shows nothing but trees.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then jump off, and then like there was one on a ship that I'm like, wow, I had to sit there for a minute climbing the fucking top of it, like the netting of a ship, just to get to a view of, ooh, water, and then jump off and swim for 30 seconds back to shore. I'm like, this is riveting gameplay, guys.
Well, I guess I will then put in all the things I do like, because I actually do really like this game. But all the criticisms, I will throw this out there, all the criticisms for everybody who's burnt out with open world, or just the Assassin's Creed franchise in general, because it's not necessarily just copy paste from all open worlds, but it's kind of like, it's hard to tell. Like, did
it's
a
copy
lot
and
of
paste
open
from their
world
open worlds?
Yeah, like, did a lot of other people copy Assassin's Creed? Like Ghost of Tsushima, 100%. Like, Assassin's Creed is one of the reasons that game exists, for example.
I can't wait to play Ghost of Yote and be like, yeah, this is way better.
I love it still, and that's because I'm not burnt out fully with open worlds, at least not the Assassin's Creed ones. I'm only burnt out when I like to go for achievements. I'm trying to be better, where it's like, if I see an achievement that's ridiculous, it's like, I'm not going to spend 10 hours doing that dumb thing that's just to earn a fake trophy. That's stupid. I like to use achievements now where it's like, you know, you get this cool armor if you do this side quest, and the achievement makes you go and do that side quest. Perfect. I go and do it. That's what I'm kind of trying, to do. When it comes to this game, the reason I like it, and I will give Kaylan full props for this because he's the one that said this once, and it's kind of what resonated with me and explaining it. This is comfort food. It is a nice looking game that is familiar, and you can hop in, you can do the big story moment, and you can see it. And I actually just finished one today that was a huge story moment, which I loved. But there's also just this one formula, which is exactly what you're talking about, where you climb that building, which is the same looking building pretty much for all of the eagle lookout spots or whatever on the map. But it's in the middle of a castle area, and that castle area has a certain amount of samurai that you need to take out, which are like the leaders of that area. And once they're out, you get to loot a treasure chest that has a good piece of gear. and then that castle is completed. And I find myself where I'll load up the game. I've been doing house chores or something. I've been painting the stairs behind me, for example, to get ready for putting some a carpet runner on it. And when I'm done that and I'm exhausted and it's 10:30, I'm not going to bed yet because I don't get up till like 8 o'clock. I'm not going to go to bed for like 9.5 hours. That's ridiculous. I decide to go into Assassin's Creed. And usually I'm not going to go and do the big story thing because, again, I'm only going to play for an hour or so. And what I'll do is I'll just load it up. I like to get to whatever the next Eagle Lookout fast travel point is, climb to the top of there. It does its little spinny thing, which I do agree is too slow. It should be a lot faster. You should be able to skip it. I would. It's only nice for the first one, to be honest. And then after that, obviously right below you, you can kind of hold L2 on the controller, look around. You can kind of pinpoint the 3 samurai guys that are there. And then I like to do as best as I can to sneak to them without getting caught and assassinate them in one hit. Instead of just like doing the all-out brawl style, which isn't fun. And it's like, hey, can I sneak in and assassinate somebody without anybody having an idea I'm going to do that until I get there? I do it, and then I go, and I'll open the treasure chest. It'll say, like, this area is complete. Here's your experience. You've leveled up. Go take... Every time you kill a samurai, you get a mastery point, so a point that you get to put into your skill tree, basically. And if you kill 5 samurai, you end up with 5 new points. You can actually unlock a few more skills from every time you do that. And I don't know. I just kind of like that gameplay loop. And it works. It is not riveting gameplay. It is extremely repetitive. It is just a comforting gameplay loop that I and Kaylan and such do enjoy because I guess we're just, there's, what are they? I think they sold 3 million copies. I don't think it's a bad game. I think that even with the criticisms people have for it, the game runs well. It looks good. It's got all the effort put into it. I wouldn't call it a bad game. I think that you and a lot of people, the reasons you don't like it are because it is such a formulaic, repetitive process that's been going since Assassin's Creed 1, which is like 2007 or whatever the heck, when that game came out.
I think also, too, like, and I'm not sure how far in you are to really kind of confirm this or not, but, like, even with, say, let's go with, like, Black Flag, or if we go to Assassin's Creed 2, those are the ones that most people will pull out. What made those two great? Well, Black Flag is because it did something new. It had the pirate, ship and everything like that. What did 2 do great? It fucking nailed characters.
Yes.
It nailed character and story. There's a reason why Ezio Auditore is the one that everyone remembers still.
Yes. 100%. Yeah, his story, his arc.
I'm not sure I'm convinced that I've got the right... Is Edward Kenway Black Flag? Because I may be wrong.
Yes. No, that is Black Flag.
That tells you how much Ezio meant. I know Ezio Auditore di Firenze, but I had to question myself on whether I had Edward Kenway correct for Black Flag. And I love Black Flag.
I couldn't name a whole bunch of the characters, especially from like Unity and all that kind of stuff. I genuinely can't even remember their names properly.
Yeah, so like... Yeah. Those games nailed it for different reasons. What I was honestly hoping for with this game was that because it was taking a much different approach, being a Japanese, ninja, also with Yasuke too, having like a bit of difference in combat between the two. Obviously, I never got to Yasuke, so I'm not 100% certain on what that looks like, apart from like the tutorial at the start. It doesn't do anything. It's just a different look, sort of, and there's a language difference. Like that's it. The story to me, like for what little I played, is nothing. It's your dad got killed. You should get him, right? And you're like, yeah. And it just seems like it's not going anywhere yet. Now, granted, again, I'm early in. Maybe if I played longer, I could have. But like, my thing's always been, if you're gonna have a game that long, you gotta get the hooks in early. And I think it's safe to say that if I'm 5 hours into a game and I'm not seeing a story interest, that's on them, right? Sure,
100%.
I could have been lost in like the open world, but honestly, I really wasn't. And even the side stuff, none of the people were interesting. None of the side quests mean anything. The only interesting thing I did outside of the main story stuff was petting dogs, which is the best part of that game.
Yes, that is actually a very good part. Dogs and cats, you can pet them all. I do agree with the story part because I just completed Act 1, which is like a big
Like, how many hours do you think you're in
where
roughly?
I actually just checked that, and that's what I wanted to tell you because I just completed Act 1, which is when Yasuke is kind of it opens up and you can play as each character and like the big story moment happens. I'm 11 hours in. Now I have been doing side stuff. I've been going and getting the top of the castles and doing the assassinations and stuff. I probably could have got there a bit quicker. If I rushed it, I probably would have been like 7 or 8 hours in.
I probably
but
would have been very close to it if I'd actually rushed through it. But like I said, I keep trying to do it, but every time I start running in the open world on a horse, I'm just like, I hate it. I don't want to do all this. Just let me go to A to B. It's like we were talking with the Mafia review not too long ago, where it's like, it's just go to the thing. Don't worry about all this random stuff. Go do the thing.
Yeah. And I do completely agree. Like there is parts when I'm running up a hill trying to get to the next Eagle whatever fast travel point, and it's like I'm running up a hill and I'm surrounded by trees. I can't see where I'm going, and it turns out I hit a hill and I like fall back down it because it's too steep for me to climb, and I gotta
That's the thing.
figure out how to go around.
I gave up on free roam.
Completely agree.
I literally just turned on the guy. I never wanted to. I turned that shit off immediately. I'm like, no, I want to explore this world. And then immediately I went, no, I can't because I can't tell what's going to be a hill or what's going to be a forest that I can't get through. Nope, we're turning on pathways.
Yeah. Now I don't have pathways on. I've got it where I got to figure out where to go, and I kind of do it myself. I'm not using the horse as much either, though. I'm kind of running from fast travel point to fast travel point. I like to unlock them, and that way it gets to a point in the game where I'm not traveling ever. I'm just getting to the closest fast travel point. Then I go the 200 meters in game or whatever to my objective. But yeah, it hasn't changed enough. If you don't like Assassin's Creed or open world games, this isn't going to change your mind even a little bit on it. If you enjoyed Assassin's Creed Unity, you're going to like this game. It's kind of still the same idea, though obviously a different setting, but it's still very, very, very similar. It even has it's all the Assassin's Creed kind of have the same idea, right? Like the person who's not an assassin all of a sudden finds out their family member is a member of the assassins and they die or whatever. I'm not actually saying the story of this game. I'm just kind of saying that stereotypes that have been every game. All the stereotypes are the same here so far. Just obviously from a more Japanese standpoint with those traditions worked into it, but it is still the same idea. Same kind of story. You're getting into the assassins. You've got to, got all these side quests or all these other things if you'd like. This does have a home base building, which is different, I guess. But it's not big enough that I would say it's like very exciting. I only think there's going to be like a few buildings you end up building. It's more about that when you find like a pallet of supplies, you can send scouts to them. And I like doing that when I'm raiding places. It'll have that. It's like, oh, I have 3 scouts available. One can come and do this. And steal this crate of stuff, and in a couple minutes or whatever, I'll have all those supplies back at home base. I can upgrade my forge, or I can do blah 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 blah. But I really do like the game, and when I say really like it, I don't mean like it's a 10 out of 10 game. It is my game of the year. It's not ever going to be close. This is just my traditional comfort food kind of game. To me, this is like putting on Chrono Trigger for the 30th time and just playing through something I've already done a bunch of times because it brings nostalgia and it's comforting where I can sit there and do something I'm already familiar with and don't have to be too invested in. Where if you take something like The Last of Us Part 2, which is new to me, even though it's a very similar gameplay to the first one, it's so story heavy and so lore heavy and so tense that you never really just kind of sink into your couch and get into a rhythm. Assassin's Creed, since Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, has been that for me, where it's just the comfort food game that constantly has been going just a little downhill in the sense that it's always the same, getting repeated a lot and all that kind of stuff, but still is just that 7 out of 10 game. It's and I think that they'll always release just a 7 out of 10 game because I don't know. I mean, Ubisoft's in a lot of financial trouble, but I don't know. It's still, I think, what they're going to do regardless. I don't know. I don't see them ever changing.
The last thing I'll say, and I don't know if I remember, I don't remember if I said this on my solo episode last week. I can't believe they brought back the level cap. I don't know why they do this.
That is annoying. I
What
have
is the
run into that.
What is the point of an open world if you can't fight in it?
Yeah. I understand. I think what it is they're trying to keep you out of certain areas.
Yeah, but that's easy to do.
Until later, but yeah,
like,
there's other ways
in
to
like
do
the
it.
tutorial, they show invisible walls and stuff. Like, just say it's an animus thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you gotta do.
I've done, because I've gone to one, like, again, you go to the castle, you do the fast travel, whatever, and then you kill the samurai. I've had it where I went to one, and all of a sudden I went to assassinate the samurai, and like the guy just grabbed my arm and threw me down and was like, haha, and started to attack me, hit me, and I died in one hit, which is like, wait, what the hell just happened? And it's because they were level 17 and I was level 10 or 11. And I didn't even think that was that big of a deal, but apparently it is. And I will say that is something I'm not a fan of. I don't mind the leveling system when it comes to melee combat. I'm actually okay with that and upgrading gear. But when it comes to assassinations, I feel like the name of the game is that those are always one-hit kills.
There's an option that you can turn on that does that, and I immediately turned that on because I'm like, guys, a blade to the throat is a blade. There's a setting in the accessibility options where it's one hit. It removes like it only does one health bar or whatever. So you can actually, like, if you like the bigger enemies that have multiple health bars, you can one hit them still. And to me, that makes more sense. I don't know why that's even an option to begin with. It's like, guys, if you literally stick a dagger here, if you stick it here in the carotid artery, they die.
Yeah. Like, I get when it's like armor could be that person's a level 17. That means they have really good armor. So if you come at them with a katana, you're going to have to fight them, and they've got a big weapon, and there's like a battle that's going to happen. I get with melee.
If there's an armored guy, you can make more sense to it. But like, if you literally, like some of the animations, she literally just jabs the blade into the back of their head. It's like, guys, that's a kill. That's a kill.
Yeah, I think that the assassinations should always be the one hit, because that encourages you to not get into fights. Yeah, you're like sneaking and spending all that time, even though there's 50 guys around this one target, you've snuck your way through and you're now above them and you're just going to drop down and take them out. It should always be a one-hit kill, and it encourages you to not get just into a brawl. And then if you get into a brawl and choose to do it that way, that's when the level system, I think, is still fine, because it's like, you're in a very tough place. You shouldn't have done that. If you could have pulled off the one-hit kill,
like, yeah,
cool.
I could understand if it was like, okay, you can't walk into a level 30 area as a level 5 character and get away with like fighting 5 people in a sword fight. But if you're able to sneak up on all of them quietly without them noticing, and you stick a dagger in the back of their head, you might be able to pull that off.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it should be. Yeah, I'm looking into the accessibility settings as soon as we're done this podcast, because I need that just to be the one-hit assassination. Like, I'm not into the whole, like, it says I can't assassinate them.
It's
it shows their
enemy,
health
so you can't one-shot them. It's like, fucking watch me.
Yeah, like, I'm going to change that immediately. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
that's
like,
Assassin's Creed.
Maybe I'll come back to it again later. I don't know, but like, it feels to me that, because again with these options too, it feels like they try to make a game for everybody. And I don't want to sound like a broken record for this, but like, there's a reason that most of the games that we end up liking the most are niche.
Yeah,
it's because they know what they want. I don't think Ubisoft knows who this game is for. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think they know who it's for. I think they just want it to be for everybody so they can try to get as many sales as they can.
Yes, they are trying to appeal to everybody, 100%. You can see it with a bunch of the options that were coming up. I remember, like, if it tells you where you go or not, like, it has the line, what language, if you want to be immersive, where it's in proper languages or in English. Like, there's so many options and questions that basically came up. You can tell where it's like, all right, so they really wanted it just like, no matter who you are, we can change the game for you and you'll enjoy your experience. And it's kind of like, you guys, you're desperate for sales and you just want as many people to be able to get into this. And I agree with accessibility, but more in the sense of, there are people
that might have trouble playing it at a normal value.
Yes. Like,
accessibility shouldn't be there to toggle options so that every single person who plays this game has a way to play it for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do
Because
agree.
then, really, what kind of game are you making? Because it seems like you're not making a full game intended for like a concept. It sounds like you're just trying to put everything in there.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%.
And with the sales thing, like I'll say this, and this isn't meant to take a shot at people, but like, look, I've seen people that are like, isn't it amazing that it's the best selling Assassin's Creed game ever? I said, guys, what did it beat? Valhalla. I don't know if that's a benchmark.
Valhalla sucks. I'm going to throw that out there. I don't like Valhalla. I just don't.
So let's not like, yeah, it may be the best selling, but its first to Valhalla is now the new number 2. Is that really competition?
Yeah. Honestly, it upsets me that Mirage isn't more up there because I thought Mirage was actually them trying something different.
I wish I'd like that game more. I think that's what really proved my burnout. But honestly, like I think they did that one better because I didn't honestly hate anything about it. I just thought the story wasn't clicking, and I'm not going to play a 40-hour open world game without a story that I'm into. But like I actually enjoyed my time with that one that I had. I just didn't want to play that same thing over and over.
Yeah, like it was still the repetitive Assassin's Creed gameplay, but it was like just one city. It was much more like an Assassin's Creed 2 where it's just here's your city, you're in here.
The reason why Black Flag worked with a bigger open world is because of the ship.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
And I can't explain Odyssey. I think the Spartan Kick really was the only reason that I like that game.
I think you liked that game also because it was not an Assassin's Creed game. It didn't even have the Assassin's logo in it. Like it had nothing to do with Assassin's Creed.
I do really like Greek mythology too, so that did help.
It was just Greek mythology, the game. Like it had nothing to do with Assassin's Creed, and they forced it in with DLC after.
Okay, I'm thinking of more things. Cassandra was a fucking boss. I will say this. Cassandra was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and I will throw it out because you did say you didn't like Naue. I actually do like Naue. And I think it's just because the more I play as her and the more that the story unlocks.
An early thing where she hasn't developed yet.
Yeah, like the more she's developing as a character. I also really like Yasuke. The more he's also, it's all still very mysterious. Like I still don't know a lot, but of the two of them, I do actually really like both their stories. And if anybody who was like, oh, he's not an assassin, it's not great. It's a different play style, but his story is actually really cool.
Mm-hmm. Man, we'll definitely see more of it as we go here. I mean, obviously, you're like at most like what a quarter to a third the way through, so you got some time.
Oh, I got a long time. I think I finished Act 1, and I have no idea. I only know that because the achievement or the trophy that popped said Act 1 completed. I have no idea how many acts there even are. I could be 10% into the game. I could be 33%. I actually have no idea.
Well, we are about 33% the way there. That's the best segue I can come up with to the Switch 2 release date. And we got the direct earlier this morning. Obviously recording this on Wednesday night. So we finally got it. You'll probably have like I'm not gonna bash it, but I'm gonna say that like I didn't go out of my way to be like, oh man, I need this tomorrow. But like I think they did an okay job. I mean, honestly, like the one thing that impressed me the most is that at least it seems like they're going to have some games from current gen coming in relatively quickly now, which is the biggest thing that it's had a problem with.
Yes, absolutely. And it feels like the one thing that I noticed probably first right out of the gate with this is Nintendo seems to be trying to actually be a little bit more up to date. Now, don't be wrong, this is not a PS5
I still don't know how Elden Ring is going to run on that system very well, but
yeah. The fact that, because one of the first features they threw out, and I might as well just throw it out there right now, is that it is a 1080p screen that has 120 hertz, and when it is docked, the dock actually has its own cooling system and all of that kind of stuff, so that it can actually output up to 4K 60. Now, do the PS5 and Xbox Series technically do 4K 120 because they're HDMI 2.1? Yes. But is this still a handheld that's still going up to 4K 60? Yes. Does it also have a bit of a cheat that the other ones don't have, which is that it's an NVIDIA chip that's in there instead of an AMD one, and it has DLSS
that we don't really know that much about yet. I'm sure I can't wait for Digital Foundry to really break that sucker down.
I can't. I really want them to, because this when I saw that it was like going to be 4K, 120 hertz, 1080p screen that's like almost 8 inches in size and stuff, like that is the freaking Legion Go size. Like, well, I think that screen's a bit bigger, but that is like the ROG Ally. That is like the Legion Go, where it's a big screen, 1080p, 120 hertz. That is not Nintendo. Nintendo doing 120 hertz has never been a thing. I don't even think they've ever even hinted or thought of it. They'd be like, why would we ever do that? That makes no sense. Where PS5, Xbox Series X back in 2020 were like, we can go up to 8K and do 120 hertz. Like, we can do all these things. Where Nintendo was never that. They were always like, yeah, no, we don't care about that. We care about having, a nice art style that you can throw into 720p, maybe even 30 frames per second, like not even hitting 60. Now, they did with a lot, but still, they didn't focus on technology as much. And it seems like this one, that was my first big notice. Like, the Switch 2 apparently is going to be a little bit with the times. A little bit.
Yeah, like I looking at, what they showed off, I looked at it and be like, so it's somewhat of like PS4, which I think kind of roughly what we figured was going to be it anyway. So like, I think it's about the upgrade that I expected. And I've said this before, the library is going to be such a big deal. And the fact that, like I said, Elden Ring being one of them, what was the really new one? Well, Split Fiction's coming to it. I'm trying to think, there was one other new one. I'm off the top of my head. Cyberpunk or Borderlands 4. That's the one I was thinking of. But, like,
Borderlands 4.
The fact that like it's games that I'm surprised. Like I'm surprised. I shouldn't say I'm surprised. I'm not that surprised. Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be on it. But at the same time, I'm like, ooh, that had trouble running on PCs at some points. Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, because I got the notes here of the games that kind of like the big titles that surprised me as being on there. Final Fantasy VII Remake, which yes was on PS4.
I would have expected that to be one of the ones anyway that they would have announced. Like, it's Square. I would have fully expected that.
I was just surprised it would have been even possible. Like, I was,
which kind of leads us to think that 16 would probably end up coming to there, maybe.
True.
So who knows?
Yeah. But there was Final Fantasy VII Remake, Borderlands 4, Elden Ring, Cyberpunk 2077, Star Wars Outlaws, another one.
Oh, do they? I don't remember Outlaws in that.
Yeah, Star Wars Outlaws was also mentioned because they were just rapid firing with some of just the things.
Street
it was
Fighter
like,
6 was also in there, Civ 7, Hitman, Yakuza.
Yeah,
Yakuza. I'm not going to lie. I laughed at Silk Song. I'm like, oh, there it is again.
Yeah, I don't know. Why is it there? What are you guys doing? Traumatizing everybody watching this direct. But yeah, like there's big games on there. And yes, the Switch did have previous generation games because it had Borderlands 1 and 2 and Doom and stuff like that. Like Nintendo normally never had third party, and there was all of a sudden these last generation games basically coming to the Switch. But this is current gen games that are coming to the Switch too. And this thing's a big tablet with controllers attached to it. That's at least the thing that's somewhat
promising to me, is that at least for now they're keeping. It looks like they're going to keep somewhat pace.
Yeah, and
now
I think
that might not last very long. Like we'll find out maybe 3 years into the life cycle if it's going to take anything anymore. But
yeah, that's the thing, because as soon as the PS6 and the Xbox, whatever the hell that'll be called next, comes, like the games are going to get pushed to even harder, and this Switch 2
I don't know how
close.
Final Fantasy 17 is going to end up on this thing.
Yeah, no, I don't. It won't. It will not, which is fine. Which, I mean,
unless the Super Nintendo Switch 2 comes out.
Yeah, they could come out with a Pro model. That could be something that all of a sudden Nintendo does, which they didn't, do before. Like me personally, like these games are great, but I don't know if people would specifically buy them for their Switch.
And now with the price tag being $449 US, $629 Canadian, that question becomes, okay, that's almost a PS5 now.
Yeah. And like, I think it's great for other games, like the first party games and stuff like that. Me personally, now again, I'm somebody who has multiple consoles. I'm lucky that way. And I have a portable PC. I would probably keep something like a Final Fantasy VII Remake to being somewhere where I know it's going to be 4K 60 or upscaled to 4K 60. And I don't know if the Switch could do that, so I don't know if this is where I would actually grab this game.
It's also
but
like even price. Oh, sorry. I'll finish your thought there.
Oh, I was just going to say that there are people, though, I'd have to imagine, where they get to basically pick one system. Like, they can't afford multiple systems. They already have a Switch, and they're going to upgrade maybe to the Switch 2. They're trying to figure it out. They can sell their original Switch, upgrade to the Switch 2. They get to keep their library and all that kind of good stuff. And maybe that is it. You know what I mean? People who are, I have to imagine, like, there's some friends that I do have that are outside of my gaming circle. They pretty much only ever have like two systems. They'll have like a PlayStation and a Switch, and that's it. And I could see them owning some of these games maybe on their Switch because they travel for work and they are on planes and stuff, but they're more casual. They like Star Wars. They'd love to play a Star Wars Outlaws, but they're not an actual gamer and they don't want to have a whole setup and that kind of stuff. I guess I could see them playing Star Wars Outlaws or something like that on this system because when they're stuck going to for 6 days
at work. The upside to these games getting put on the system is that like if you're only a Nintendo client, you'll finally get to play a lot of these, which is great. That's a big. If you're already a Nintendo like person, like if this is your home, this is great for you. If you're sticking with them, this is great. You're going to have a few more options. Yeah. That being said, $629 Canadian. If you don't have anything right now in a vacuum, the 512 gig OLED Steam Deck is just $60 more.
Yes.
I don't think you could, like, I love Nintendo games to death. I think they're fucking fantastic. I don't think I can make, if in a vacuum, I don't think I could ever make that choice for a Switch.
If you could only pick one, no, I don't think so. I think it also depends on, I think it depends on who, if you're a 15-year-old, I could imagine Switch would probably be winning in that, a casual gamer.
You pick the Switch is Nintendo games as your demographic.
Yes, exactly. Like if you're looking for the Mario Karts platformers, like you're looking for that, you're going to go Switch. If you're any kind of more serious gamer, I think you'd still go with the PC market.
Like anybody on this show, I don't see how you get a Switch 2 above a Steam Deck. Between the three of us, I don't see it.
Agree.
Like even in Kaylan's case with a kid, I think like in a vacuum, if you're going to pick one over the other, I think you just pick the Steam Deck. Because most of the games that are going to be on the Switch, minus Nintendo first party, are going to be on the Steam Deck.
Yes. The only caveat there is this thing is going to be 4K upscaling, 1080p screen, 120 hertz. They showed Metroid Prime 4 and they actually showed some details. It's 4K or it's 1080p 120 hertz. And
I will say, like, the mouse thing that they have is actually pretty neat. I like that.
That is pretty neat, too. I have to admit that. Still no Mario Paint. What the hell? My prediction was that Mario Paint would be how they show that off. How perfect would that be? Holy shit.
Sorry, you can't get everything you want there, bud.
No, that's coming. I don't care. I bet you they're going to... You know how they're going to get me? They're going to put the Super Nintendo one on that Switch Online
maybe
service.
If you're lucky, Mario Maker 3 will have some sort of Mario Paint option to it.
God, just make a Mario Paint, make it $20. Anyways, I think that I was looking into it because this was more powerful than I was expecting. I was expecting still a 720p screen, maybe 800p if they wanted to go like the Steam Deck thing. Because the Steam Deck is only 800p and it has a 90 hertz screen. This is better than that. So I was like, wait a minute, I'm still expecting the Steam Deck even to be coming out on top of the Switch too. So then I went and started looking, and obviously they haven't released the specs and everything, but there's all the rumors of what chip is in there, and they know the teraflops and all that kind of garbage. And the Steam Deck is like 1.6 teraflops, and this is 1.7. So it's basically a Steam Deck. Like it's basically the same power, which is insane to me.
It's why I think we're both looking at Digital Foundry, because we want to see like, okay, they can say whatever they want, but how is it actually running when they put these games in?
Yeah,
like,
100%.
Like a Metroid Prime 4, that's going to be designed specifically for that console. So you know that's going to run. That's not we're not talking about that. We're not talking about Donkey Kong Bonanza, which looked fucking awesome, by the way.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
But like, we're talking, like Elden Ring is Elden Ring and Cyberpunk are the two that they announced that I'm the most curious about. I want to know how they run.
Yeah, Elden Ring especially.
Because it's one thing for Mario Kart, it's another thing for Donkey Kong. But a fucking FromSoft game that was not designed for that. I don't know about what was the name of the other the Dustbloods. I don't know if that's specifically for Switch or not.
I don't know. But it was like one of the big reveals at the end there. That felt like it's at least coming to Switch 2, even if it's the port and it's also coming to consoles.
It is a Switch 2 exclusive. Okay.
Wow. FromSoft having a Switch 2 exclusive, that is something I would have never.
Yeah. So like
Wow.
games that are specifically made for that is one thing. I want to know how games that were not designed for it run on it.
Yeah.
And that's the real test. In the same way that like obviously Witcher 3 ran on the Switch and Mortal Kombat 1 ran on the Switch.
I would say Witcher 3 ran better somehow than even Mortal Kombat. But
like
it was
again, I want that I want that if this is actually going to run really really well, I want that too because that is phenomenal for Nintendo to pull off.
Yeah, like
I'm skeptical though.
I'm skeptical too. And that's why I was like, I got to see how strong this is compared to a Steam Deck because I know the Steam Deck. I use it all the time. I know what it's capable of. I know what it's like to run The Witcher 3 on there versus my Switch. It's night and day. One of them feels like a console. The other one feels like a really crappy, low quality console for Witcher 3 specifically, at least. And yeah, like this, if it comes out and it's the same power as a Steam Deck, now, again, this is just releasing this year, and Nintendo's going to keep it going for about 7 years. The Steam Deck's already a few years in, and this is coming in the same level of
and
that.
And eventually the library is going to start to overcome whatever specs it's running.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and Steam Deck
like, I'm sure there's games on your Steam Deck that you would just never run on Steam Deck because there's no way.
No, there's games that I run on there, and it's like maybe I can get it running at 30 FPS, but like I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's because it's not even like stable, or it just looks like shit putting it. It's like The Witcher 3 on Switch. It ran 30 FPS, and you could tell what you were doing, but it was way too much of a cost for the way it looked. Now, the fact that it was the only way to play The Witcher portable at the time, I owned Witcher 3 on Switch, and I played it. It had cloud save with Steam, so you could play it at home on your computer, but then if you're on a plane, you could load up your save and keep playing. It was mind-blowing at the time. And I think it really started the whole like PC handheld wave. But it showed that the Switch wasn't designed really for that, right? It seems like this one could, at least for a while. And that's going to be bonkers. I still agree with you. If I had to pick between this and a Steam Deck, I'm still going a Steam Deck because it's more open.
We're also talking from like our choices, like what we're into. So like when I say I don't think I care enough about the Switch 2 to get it, is not me saying it's bad. It's me saying for what I do, it doesn't make any sense right now.
Yeah. I have no willpower. I'm probably pre-ordering this. I can't lie. I wasn't going to.
You are a sucker. Let's be real.
I am a sucker. Hey, I haven't bought the PS5 Pro yet. So that's good.
Yeah, but that's because you already have a PS5. Like you at least have a machine. Like you don't have to go out and get something new.
That's true. That is true. I can't play the new Mario Kart without the Switch 2. But yeah, like I agree with you. Like for our use case, like for me, I love PC gaming. I love tinkering. I love the Steam Deck is open. I can put emulators on there. I can do what I want the way I do it. Where the Switch, I was frustrated with it. Like the Switch Online service, I'm fine with because it's $25 a year.
Speaking of that, did they seriously say we're finally putting GameCube games in, but we're only putting 3 on at launch?
Oh, I think that's what they always do. I'm pretty sure when they have a new system.
Nintendo, for God's sakes, could you please stop?
When it was Game Boy Advance, I think it was 3 or 4 games that were included at launch. Now, I think there's only like 20 Game Boy Advance games.
And no offense to them, but guys, you put Soul Calibur 2 on before Sunshine. Really?
Yeah. It is weird that Sunshine wasn't there. And it's not like it's still for sale because Sunshine was in that Mario 3D All-Stars or whatever that they took away. Maybe because of that? I don't know. Again, I think it's just
Nintendo, I want to respect you. You make it so hard.
Yeah.
I can't not make fun of you.
Like, all right, this is a perfect segue probably into the new chat feature because I think it's very cool. And
it looks too much like Discord.
It is Discord. No, they looked at Discord and they were like, fuck that. We're doing Discord, but like not through Discord so that kids are safe because like Nintendo's obsessed with like, do not let kids talk to strangers through the Nintendo. We want it to be a safe place, which is probably good because
now
like,
I will say
the
chat stuff was cool. Same with like the game share, the fact that you can share between 4 people.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it must be locally. There's no way it could be like across the internet. That would be crazy.
I think you can do online, but I think you have to already be in like the same family or something, if I remember correctly. Because
It's got to be something. There's no way that you could just literally share a game with three of your friends. There's no way it's that simple.
I think it's that you have to be sitting in the same room because there's like local play. Or if it is online, I think it was family. I could be thinking of something else.
There's got to be some catch. It can't just be like you all just sit down in a room one day and then go your separate ways and you can share one game. Like, there's no way it's that simple.
No, you have to be playing at the exact same time for that game share. It's kind of like if you're playing...
It's kind of like with Steam Play Together.
Yes, and that's what it is. It's Steam Remote Play. Play Together. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
One person is playing and they're hosting and everybody's just
which I think is great. But to go back to the chat thing, we talked about it before the show. Nintendo, please, can we get people that can talk like normal human beings? Just once. Just once. I know that you're family friendly. I know that you're trying to be like really happy. But guys, no human being talks like those people did in that chat segment. No one does.
No, they don't. But I will throw this out here. How nice would it be if just one time when we game, you and me and some of our friends on Thursday nights, that it actually was that delightful, that it was just that calm.
Well, gee, Chris, I'm sorry, but the world isn't that delightful.
Yeah, no, everybody's talking about how the world is.
That's how unrealistic that was. At no point did they go, wow, fuck America, am I right?
Yeah. Like, because in that presentation on the Nintendo Direct, it was like, I think it was one girl couldn't get, like, they were trying to figure out where to go, and the other three friends were like trying to help her, like, oh, you have to go over that wall, and she's like, oh, I'll share my screen so you can all help me. In real life, all of us would have just been like, nah, man, fuck you, figure it out. Like, that would have
been like, bro, you just watch a YouTube video like everyone fucking else does.
Yeah, like nobody's willing to like, yeah, man, share your screen and we'll walk you through it. I wish that just once that would be delightful, but I do agree that
I'm not even at the point to be like it's not that it's too nice. It's just like it's like when they do this in like conventions or shows like and stuff where they're showing like someone live playing the game and it's just like, oh, that's so cool. I'm gonna go over here. It's like no one talks like that unless you're a cringe streamer.
Yes, very cringe. It was very cringy. It's Nintendo. They've been doing it for so long.
Although I'll say that wasn't as bad. I hate that fucking narrator. Oh my god.
Oh, the narrator, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the Switch, when it had its announcement, there was the people playing Switch on the rooftop. I'd like that rooftop party, and it was
because cringy. we know how often that happens.
Like it's like this delightful like garden rooftop, and everybody's got the lights going, and it's like, who are these people living this life? And somebody shows up with their Switch, and it's just so nice. Somebody would have thrown that Joy-Con off the roof. Like, that's so, what really would
here's the difference, because I know people will be like, well, they have to sound, like, excited about it. I'm like, guys, you see whenever Josef Fares talks about his games, how excited he is? That's real excitement.
That's real excitement.
Now, granted, he swears. I know Nintendo's not a fan of that, which is why I'm surprised he spoke on that.
Yeah, he spoke. When I heard him, I was like, oh, what's he going to do?
It's like they must have heavily edited that.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of bleeps.
But like, it's not just Nintendo. A lot of people do this, but like, I don't understand this notion of like this fake excitedness. Or it's like, guys, if I was narrating something that I worked with and worked on and was excited to see it released, you don't have to tell me to be excited.
Yeah. Oh, so good. But going back just to the chat feature in general, I actually think it's pretty cool. It's interesting because, as you said, it's Discord. Like Nintendo didn't come up with this idea. Again, neither did Discord really. I guess Skype and all that. If the microphone
on the Switch is actually that good at isolating background noise, that's really impressive too.
Yeah, and then I was thinking about it because that actually makes it easier, because one of the issues when you're gaming with friends on a PC, PS5, Xbox, you got to get the headset, right? Because it's got to have the microphone. The PS5 does have the microphone and the controller.
But it's ass.
It's ass. Like, it's a backup for emergencies, which I respect that it's even there. Don't get me wrong. But how would you expect somebody on a Switch, well, they're not going to do this feature on an airplane, but whatever, gaming on the couch, gaming wherever they are, to just like have a gaming headset with them, right? With a microphone. So they'd probably have to do Bluetooth. Bluetooth while gaming and having audio and microphone sucks. It is not good. So that's one reason I always assumed there was. Like, that's why the Steam Deck, you have to actually hook up like an actual gaming headset if you want to do chat. But they kind of figured this out because you can still plug in any headphones you want. You have like just earbuds from your cell phone, plug it into the Switch. It has an audio jack. Even the Pro controller, that's why it has that audio jack now. Plug it in. The microphone is taken care of. It's on the Switch. And all you got now is the chat coming through your ears. But as you're talking, it's actually your Switch that's picking up the microphone. So you don't need an actual proper headset. And once I thought of that, I was like,
if it's at the other end of the room, it'll be different. But like if you're playing with it in your hands.
Yeah, if you're doing handheld, that is fantastic. You've got your just regular earbuds in, and the microphone's right there, and you're having group chat and all that without having to like get some sort of specific headset. You can just grab your AirPods or whatever people are going to use, obviously, for it. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it's weird that this chat, Nintendo has a chat that has features that the Xbox and PlayStation don't have. Because technically, you can do video chat while you're gaming. Xbox
now, honestly, between the three consoles, I think that makes the most sense with the Switch because it is a family console.
Oh, 100%. I think so. And I'm never using it. I'm going to throw that out there. I'm not doing video chat. I'm fine with sharing the screen, and obviously audio is great. And PlayStation can do that. I don't know if the Xbox can do screen sharing, but it's got the audio. They've got Discord built right in. But I think it's kind of cool that Nintendo's chat is, I guess, just as good-ish as the PlayStation Xbox. We'll have to see once it releases. But not only did they bring chat, they didn't make it dumb and crap like they did with the Switch, where you have to use the Nintendo app, and it's like this weird crap. Like, it's not good, and everybody just use Discord. Sure, people will still use Discord.
Weirdly, it almost feels like they finally took a lot of input from the West on this, honestly.
Yes.
Which is a big thing.
I honestly
it feels like this really was like a 50-50 split between, hey, let's put stuff in that we know the Japanese will like. Let's put a lot of stuff that the West is going to like, because we need this to work in both markets.
Yeah.
Especially at that price point, they really need to make sure that this hit on both ends.
Yeah, I can't lie. There's two things I didn't like about this, and one of them is the price point. But I don't necessarily, like, the more I think of it, the more I don't think it's necessarily Nintendo being like, all right, time to raise the price. We can make more money here.
I think it's just a case of just how expensive things are now.
I think it's just how expensive things are now. Because a lot of people, me included, like PS5 Pro's coming out, it's 960 Canadian dollars, and we're like, what the fuck is this shit? We are not buying this.
I mean,
you could build
look at how much we
for
stuffed
that.
at the PSVR 2 when it first came out.
Yeah. And I think it's actually stuff has been getting more expensive. At first, we weren't really accepting it, and now it's like, oh crap. I think this might be how expensive things are now.
It's like how that article of like GTA being potentially $100 came out. And we all just kind of went, oh shit. I think stuff's finally going up.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, I know you've been looking into building a computer. I've been looking into building a computer. It is not. You can't build the $1,200 computer. It used to be like your console was $500.
You can. It just won't be very good anymore.
No, like I've actually built it out, and it's like at the prices of stuff, you're basically just getting a PS5, a bit better, and you can play with settings, and it's a computer, but it's not what it used to be, where you would spend $1,200 and you'd blow your console out of the water at that price. And that's what it was like. Because
the idea initially too is that you were also paying to have to put it together.
Yes. Yeah. But also it had the more power, like you could do like 1440p, like 120 frames per second, which was unheard of on console, but the console was only $500. So one made sense, and an all-in, easy, more budget. And then for the people who are more pro gamers, $1,200, here's your PC. It's going to be fantastic. And it's not even close to that now.
Happened.
And then Bitcoin happened.
I mean, let's be real.
$1,200.
Let's be real. Crypto happened.
Oh, 100%.
That's why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It made plus everything else, which is the cost of chips and holy shit.
But I mean, realistically, because of crypto mining, it's made graphic card prices go fucking through the roof.
They are insane, and then Nvidia is just way too powerful for their own good. $1,200 is just the video card now. That's it. The graphics card is. You can get one, like I'm obviously talking Canadian prices, but probably $1,100 or $1,050 if you do the AMD route and you want like the good graphics card that's better
let me
than
pull
the
my
consoles.
PC part picker right now that I have that has my actual build.
Yeah, like
So
it's going to be thousands.
So the card I have currently that I'm looking at is the 5070 Ti Super.
Yep.
And it's $1,250 Canadian. That's just the card.
Yeah. You can buy, like, I hate to say it this way because this hurts, but.
5070 Ti. I forgot 4070 is Ti Super is what
4070.
I had before. I moved up to the 5070 Ti.
It's just easier at this point. Even if the card's not that much better, the 40s aren't for sale and you got to try and find it in the used market and all that kind of stuff.
Like my entire build right now is just shy of $3,000, and that's only because I'm carrying over parts too.
Yeah. Like, now all of a sudden the PS5 Pro, which can run Assassin's Creed, the new one, at 4K 60 or whatever at $900, doesn't seem as ridiculous as I thought it used to be before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that's how expensive stuff has gotten.
Well, and it's why I said, like, when people say consoles are going to go away, I'm like, I don't think that's possible because unless consoles become $2,000 and PCs are almost the same price again, like, if you're going for just a decent experience and not destroying your wallet, you have to go console.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it is crazy. And the Switch being $600 something, to bring it back to that, I guess, that's showing because Nintendo's systems have never been that expensive. They've always been the cheapest one because they were the least feature heavy, the least powerful, the least everything. Yeah. So the price is definitely one thing I didn't like, but I'm not blaming Nintendo for it. I'm kind of blaming the industry and the markets and everything.
It's literally coming out at essentially $50 US cheaper than what the PS5 did.
Yeah.
And that's with the disc drive, I should say.
Yeah.
So, and that console came out 5 years ago. So I don't think it's that bad. Like, I think we're just surprised because we're used to Nintendo always being the cheaper one.
Yeah, it was, if you were to buy the regular Switch.
It kind of still is.
It still is. It's just the cheaper one bar has been moved.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. Yeah.
But I mean, like, if what they come out with is that good for $450 US, that's still impressive.
Oh, 100%. And again, there's other features that are here. Like you mentioned game sharing. One way to save money is going to be that new virtual card sharing thing, which is, I think, actually pretty cool.
Gamers, you know what's going to be good for saving money? Making friends. Good luck.
Yeah. Make some fucking friends that you actually meet in person. This apparently only works like physically in person. But
it's going to be like Pokemon Go. People are going to be walking around and be like, does anybody have a Switch and has an extra spot on their family thing?
Yeah. The family thing for Switch is actually very good because the Switch Online is $25 a year, but for $44.99, so $45 Canadian, all this is Canadian, you can have up to 8 people in your friends list, and it does not ask for your address and stuff like that. Like, I've got my nephew on mine. I've got my dad, my sister, my wife, a friend of mine. They're all on my family Switch account. I still have spots left over.
Yeah.
And the fact that they now have this virtual card sharing, which is like halfway between Steam's family sharing and PlayStation's, I guess, in a weird way, or like console share, because you can lend one game to any of the people in there and it leaves your console. And now that digital downloads on their console for 2 weeks and they can play it as much as they want. At the end of the 2 weeks, it comes back so they can't steal it forever. I think that's just what that's for. But it still saves their game. Their game saves there and you can just re-lend it to them for another 2 weeks. I'm going to be doing this with my nephew all the time. I have like 60 Switch games and I'm not going back to them. I've beaten them. I've only got 2 left that I'm not done beating. And like, obviously I got a couple I go into, Animal Crossing and Pokemon I return to every so often for multiplayer with family and friends. But like Mario Odyssey, I'm not going back in there right now. I can lend that to him. He was hoping to get it for Christmas and I know that it's actually way too hard for him and he's not going to be able to do it. I can lend it to him for 2 weeks. He'll get sick of it after a few hours after he finds it too hard. Boom. Just saved Nintendo money. That's like, even on sale, 60 Canadian dollars right there for my nephew, right? So I think that's actually very cool. I do like the virtual card sharing. It is not as simple as Steam's, where it's just like, yeah, you all share a library and it just appears there. And as long as the owner of it isn't playing it, anybody can play it. And it's definitely not as good as the PlayStation one, where like one person owns it and then both people can play the same game, aka what you and I do with Helldivers. That's not here because it's like once you lend it, you can't touch it. And like it's not just this library where everybody's picking it themselves. You have to physically stand with them and it digitally sends it to them like you're handing the cart. But there's also a part of like nostalgia there that I like, where it's like you're meeting with your buddy to hand your game disc over and be like, hey man, try this new Spider-Man game, and lending the disc, which went away in the mid 20s, right? So there is like a little nostalgia there that I kind of do.
At least
like
you know, though, if they move away, you're still getting it back.
Yeah, it comes back, which is good. There is also, though, apparently a feature if like you own two switches, you can basically, you're lending it back and forth between your own switches as long as it's you and logged in.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be like in the same room as it and everything. It's just tied to your account. So there's still that.
It's an odd situation. I don't know why you'd be doing it, but you know, it's for the.
Yeah, I've never understood the two switches. Like, I guess the Switch Lite is really small and pocketable-ish.
Yeah.
But then you're losing out on like the OLED Switch you have or something.
Who knows? There's always somebody that finds a way to have their own unique situation of things.
That's true. That's true.
The last thing I wanted to say, and this is a wider conversation that I think needs to happen, the fact that this console is 2 months away.
Yeah.
I think this needs to be said. This proves that we need to stop with this fucking 5 years, like a year from now, it's coming.
Oh, 100%. This is so much better.
It's
so
like,
much better.
You have just enough time to be excited, to pre-order, and to anticipate.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they announced that it was going to be an announcement later, but I think that's because it was a leak. So I think they didn't have a choice. I'm curious what would have happened if this leak never happened.
Yeah, I think just a few weeks ago or something, we would have been given the date like, hey, April 2nd, Nintendo Direct for the Nintendo Switch 2, it's coming. They would have done a cool post online or something. Maybe not even a few weeks ago. Maybe like a few days before. Most Nintendo Directs we only find out about.
Well, they did
like
a Direct the day before, right?
Or
like a couple days before or something.
Day before. It was like, yeah.
So you know what they probably were going to do? They were probably going to have a regular Direct, and then at the very end would have been like, and one more thing, stay tuned tomorrow.
Yes, that's exactly what it would have been. And then everyone would go to hype, like, wait, what's happening? There's another Direct after the Direct?
Well, they might have also said, like, hey, stay tuned tomorrow, and they do the announcement, and they show that initial trailer that we saw of, like, the Switch 2.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
But, like, it's a greater trend of, like, I don't need to have an announcement in September to find out that a new console is coming September next year, you know?
Yeah, no. Even with the PS5 and the Xbox, I feel like it was during the summer they were released. It was during like the E3 time frame in 2020 that they actually finally showed everything. And then they were coming in November. Now that was still like 4 months away.
Yeah.
Or so. This, I love. I don't know if it's going to be crazy for pre-orders and stuff.
Also, what a great time to come out with it right when it's going to start really being warm.
Yeah, it's an outdoor console. Like, my best memories with my Switch are, oddly enough, similar ones I have with my Steam Deck. I get on my bike, I have a backpack, I throw in some water, a blanket, and like my Switch or Steam Deck, and I go to this big park near my house. It's like 20 minutes away. I go there, I sit under a tree in the summer in this park, and I just afternoon or evening game. It's delightful. I love it, and I can definitely see me doing that again with the Switch 2.
Yeah. So I think they've made a lot of really good decisions. I mean, we'll obviously see, because again, I've said it so many times before, they can do whatever they want with this thing, but if the library isn't consistent, what's the point?
Yes, I agree. And one thing I do like, and I'll throw that out there too, there are some paid upgrades to games. Now, this I don't always agree with. I did notice for some of them, like Mario Party has some upgrade. The upgrade also includes a DLC pack with Mario Party, for example.
For the most part, it was like, it's not just, here's the upgraded version that runs a little bit better. Here's also a little extra to go with it.
Yes, which I liked. Except, I think the 2 Legend of Zelda games, the things they are adding are like on the phone, like an app where you can get like GPS coordinates and the phone's telling you how to get to an objective and stuff. I think that you have to pay for, but like it is just higher fidelity and stuff. I feel like Nintendo may have done that because they know how popular those 2 games are, and they could never get them to run better than 30 FPS.
And also, we have to find some excuse that we can re-release it for full price and never take it down more than 10%.
Oh yeah, no, that's going to be keeping the price for sure. I hope the upgrades for those are like $10. I'd buy them because those games did run 30 FPS, and I'd love to go through and play around with one of them at least at 60 FPS. But there was someone in our Discord. It may have been Soupy. I just want to confirm that before I actually say it. Yeah, it was Soupy. So shout out to Soupy for showing us this. But there was also a list provided by Nintendo of upgrades that are coming that are free. So Mario Odyssey getting a free upgrade. So it's going to run at...
I'm shocked that there's no Mario referencing at all.
Besides Mario Kart and Mario Party, and even then, Mario Party was just an already out game. It was just an update. So it's like Mario Kart, and they don't have a Mario launch title.
A new Kirby and a new Donkey Kong makes sense, but Kirby had a new game not that long ago.
Yeah, the Forgotten whatever.
So I'm surprised. Like, I'm assuming Odyssey 2 or whatever is in the works. It'll probably be out in like another year or so, but like I'm still surprised. So, like, not even a mention.
Yeah, because I feel like every console at least has had a Mario, but now that I'm going back, launch title for the Wii was Twilight Princess. Launch title for the Switch, I don't know if it was Odyssey. I feel like Odyssey was at least announced.
It's not always that consistent, but you're always shocked when it's not there.
Yeah, like it's shown somehow. Like even if it's not a launch day, it's like this is coming. But I guess like the Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is Donkey Kong Mario Odyssey. Like it just looks like that.
It's Donkey Kong 64, but hopefully not as bad.
Yes, it looks good. Like I would probably pick that up as one of my... I'm obviously getting the Mario Kart bundle if I pick this up. Like I have to. But I would pick that up. I could see myself picking that up. And then some of the upgrades, one of the upgrades, which I'm very excited about, it was the free upgrade, which there's no way they could charge for this. And I see why. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the ones that run like 20 FPS. And then if
garbage.
You get like actual garbage and people are like 2 frames per second in the background if they're far away enough, it's getting a free upgrade. And I am glad that one's free, because if they tried to charge people for a better version of that game,
funny.
That would have been awful. Because I still play that game. Performance aside, I love the multiplayer aspect of it. I think it's very cool to have an online just hop in as a group of 4 and go catch Pokemon together. I think that's very cool. And I'm glad that hopefully is going up to 60 FPS. If they can get that running at 1080p and 60 FPS, I'll be fucking happy. It'll be like night and day, and I'll be like a kid in a candy store. The Mario Odyssey update, I'm curious about that one because it already ran at 720p handheld 60 frames per second. So is it going to be just 1080p 60, or is it going to be like 1080p 120 frames per second? Because Mario Odyssey is it's like 8 years old. Like it probably, I guess, could run at that crazy frame rate. I don't know why you'd want it to, but cool. Like, I don't know. I'm curious. I need Digital Foundry to honestly get their hands on this thing. Holy shit. I need it.
So I almost forgot one thing. Why the fuck is Project 007 on there?
Oh my god, yeah, what the hell was that? Like, it came right after Hitman. Hitman being there was like, whatever. I was like, who the hell's still talking about Hitman? But then that's where they
showed
announced...
nothing.
No, it's nowhere near even ready. They've got nothing.
I literally in my notes, and it's how I remembered. It's in order, like I have a bunch of games, and it says Hitman, and then right next, Project 007 in brackets. Fuck them. It's like, what the fuck are you doing there? No one cares about this game that you're making because you haven't showed a goddamn thing about it.
Yeah, it's not ready to be shown. Like, this is something where until you have at least some gameplay, or at least like The Witcher 4,
the
like
amount
it had
of
that
interesting
trailer.
Things that were shown off in that third-party thing, and you put your goddamn dumbass trailer into that. That game better be the fucking best 007 game I've ever played.
Yeah, I don't know what it was doing there. That was so weird. That was like when it was E3 and Bethesda felt they had to tell everyone the Elder Six Scroll is coming, and we still have had just a logo for years.
I was howling when I saw that 007 trailer. In my mind, I'm like, this would be a great moment for BioWare to show up and be like, and here's Mass Effect 3 with no footage about it.
That's one of my gripes. And actually, sorry, I did say that I had 2 gripes with this. One was the price. The other one, so there's that very cool looking demo game. That's
is it the wheelchair one?
No, not the wheelchair one, but I think that's actually also very cool too. 3-on-3 basketball, but with like the wheelchairs, and you got to use the mouse movement. That's very cool. No, it's like that tech demo where like the little avatars are walking around on the Joy-Cons and you're learning about the Switch.
Oh, is it like that like tour thing?
Yeah, the Switch Tour game or whatever it is. I thought that when that first came out, I was like, wow, that is a very cool idea. That's something like Sony would do. Steam, Valve, they had the Aperture job for the Steam Deck, which is a game that only works, well, you can play it on PC, but it's meant for the Steam Deck and it shows you all the features while you play the game. The thing is that Astro's Playroom and that Aperture job game were free. And that tech demo-y looking thing, which is teaching you about the Switch 2, it said it was a paid digital download. That is something that's supposed to come with the console as like, here's a free, not even really a game. It's just a free tech demo-y kind of thing so that you can learn about the features of your Switch. The fact that it is paid means either there's
they'll probably change their mind on that.
Yeah, either they've got to make that free. They got to make that free, or there's a lot more to it, and there's an actual big game in there, and they just, for some reason, didn't show it.
They didn't think to say anything?
Yeah, like, because they showed some mini games, but it was more like, hey, there's a mouse feature. Look, you can move a character back and forth and not get hit by these spikes. Like, it's not a game you would buy. So unless it's $4.99 or something for some weird reason, even that, like, why? Like, make that free and just include it on the console. Like, it's already downloaded, or it's like a free download for Switch 2 only on the eShop. Like, go and grab it, download it for free. Astro's Playroom is free. Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. Aperture Desk Job, free. It's not a big game.
And the idea is that when you get a
you.
console, like, you should always have a game that comes with it.
Oh, 100%.
Point, like, now that Sony did that with Astro's Playroom, to me, it's like there always better be at least one free game that you put that thing with on the console.
Yeah. The fact that the Steam Deck has a game in Steam that's free to go along with the Steam Deck. Like, there's already so much stuff that you probably already have. When nobody's buying a Steam Deck and not already owning a bunch of games they can play on it. But the fact that they did it, PlayStation did it, like, why is Nintendo not? That makes no sense to me that they charge for this. So either it's a much bigger game or they need to make it free. That's my opinion on that. That was something I was iffed on. I love the game idea. I'm not against it. They look like that PlayStation Home thing from back on PS3. Like, just like you go with your little avatar and you hang out and you learn about PlayStation. Well, it's the same, but Nintendo. But you shouldn't have to pay for that. It's a tech demo. Like, it's just you're walking around on the Joy-Cons. Would you pay for that? That makes no sense.
Yeah. Any last thoughts? I think I finally got everything I need out of there.
No, I'm very excited to see this. I think I'm going to pre-order. And I mean, I have the Switch OLED, so I have the benefit of being able to like sell that, get a couple $100 and put it towards the purchase and whatnot. And backwards compatible, everything moves over. Yeah, I'm thinking of pre-ordering. It is expensive, but I really want to get my hands on this, and I really want Digital Foundry to get their hands on this. If this is just as powerful as my Steam Deck, I'm still gonna use my Steam Deck for all my. I'm like, PC will still be where I buy a lot of games because backwards compatibility, customization.
Like most of the things I suggest to you on the show right now.
Yeah, like all those things. I wouldn't pick up any of those on the Switch. I want to be able to like go to my desk and play them on my PC or play it on my Steam Deck. And 12 years from now, be able to go back and play them and have them and customize them and all that other stuff, right? So I still will mostly, if I'll buy only exclusives on the Switch. I don't even think I'd pick up indie games on there, to be honest. Because again, I have the Steam Deck. But if it's the same power, it's going to be pretty interesting to have two same powered devices, one being a PC and one being a Nintendo console that match. Like, that's going to be something that hasn't happened in ever in Nintendo's history. I don't know. Maybe the GameCube was pretty powerful, I think. Maybe. I don't know. But other than that, Nintendo's never matched any other device that I've owned. And it's bonkers to me, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll wait and see. I mean, we're not that far out. It's 2 months. So yeah, we will know very soon. And especially with, again, the most curious thing is going to be like, okay, what comes out this year? You know, and how do they move on from there? Because, I mean, it's easy to put a lot of games out at launch when you're porting stuff or whatever else. But it's, okay, what do you keep adding? Like when a game comes out in April next year, are you going to be able to put that on the Switch? That's the real question. How much are they building in tandem with Switch 2? Because, again, when games get made for different consoles, they got to hold some stuff back. So there's always that thing you got to worry about. But we'll find all that in time. I honestly, just straight up, I think it's really cool that Nintendo console owners are going to have something extra. Is it for me? Probably not. But I mean, for those that are interested, I think you're getting what you want and more out of that. More than I would have expected.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest shock is how shocked I was of how much it actually went further than what I was expecting, especially tech-wise. I was not expecting that at all. So good on you, Nintendo, for kind of joining the 21st century a little bit.
For about 2 years.
Nintendo said 4K. They've never said 4K in their whole life. Not a single console they've ever had has had 4K capabilities.
I think it must have been a slip of the tongue. I'm pretty sure they meant to say DK.
My God. Oh, you know, and I know it's going to be all upscale, but still, like, it probably is DK.
It's going to be
probably
4K.
Right. Yeah, 4K.
But anyways, we've rambled on long enough. I think it's one of our longer episodes we've done in a while. But that's going to do it for this, guys. So obviously, if you're listening to this on any audio platform, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Tunes, whatever it may be, obviously, if there's a way to give us a rating, please do so. Otherwise, you know the drill. Share with all your friends. Those of you on YouTube, like and subscribe. Linktree/PixelPlay Podcast. You guys know the drill. We've said this so many times on here. Link to the Discord. Link to other things, but let's be honest, it's the Discord that we basically use the most of. So come and hang out with us there, and we will have a good old time. Psycast will be out tomorrow. We are going to be talking about some Saturn games. Yeah, we somehow pulled together 6 Saturn games that we think should be remade. So look forward to that. Otherwise, you know the drill. Wednesdays at noon for the podcast. Fridays at noon for the side quest. We will see you on the next episode. So take care. Bye-bye for now.